It is the smallest and most unknown of all the sanctuaries that hosted Panhellenic games, and thanks to its short exploitation and its early abandonment, it is quite well preserved. This is Aventuras a Pie de Página. I'm Esteban, your guide today, and in this video we're going to explore Nemea, home of the games dedicated to Zeus. First, a bit of history, while I show you some scale models of the ancient site. It is not known exactly when the games were established. However, it is known that a first temple dedicated to Zeus and another sanctuary dedicated to a local hero date from the beginnings of the 6th century BC. The festival was celebrated every 2 years during summer and consisted of sports and musical events. The sanctuary was only used for the celebration of the festival. It depended on Cleones at first, but from the 5th century BC onwards, it was under the control of the city of Argos. In 415 BC, the Temple of Zeus was destroyed and the games were relocated to Argos until 330 BC, when it was decided to re-establish the festival in Nemea and new facilities were built, including a new temple and a new stadium. The festival was held in Nemea until 271 BC, when it returned to Argos definitively. Currently, the remains in Nemea are divided into 2 official archaeological sites. The smallest of the archaeological sites includes the ruins of the modern stadium, located about 450 meters southeast of the Temple of Zeus. The stadium was built between the years 330 and 320 BC. It was 600 feet long, or 185 meters, which it was the standard. The stadium preserves the starting line called balbus, which consisted of a line of stones and part of the hisplex, which was the starting mechanism to prevent cheating. Unlike other stadiums, it didn't have seats along its extent, and the people sat on the slope of the hill. However, there were a few stone seats for the distinguished visitors and for the judges. An aqueduct provided the stadium with water that ended behind the Esfendona, which is the semicircular part at one of the ends of the stadium. Furthermore, some columns of the apoditerion are preserved, which was the changing room where the athletes prepared for the competition. However, the crown jewel of the archaeological site is the access tunnel to the stadium, called Krypteisodos, or secret entrance. Almost all stadiums had this access tunnel for the athletes, but this is the only one that is preserved completely. Apparently, the tunnel was covered with graffiti from all periods. Unfortunately, we didn't realize it, because the tunnel was very poorly lit and we only found out at the archaeological museum. Luckily, we managed to film one graffiti without realizing it until making the video. As we already know, the stadium and the entire complete population was abandoned in Hellenistic times, and probably this is the reason why it is so well preserved. In later times, after the collapse of the Roman Empire, the tunnel was used as a dwelling on several occasions, until a collapse ended killing its occupant. Moving to the main site, the largest building was the Xenodochio, or the hotel, which was the accommodation facilities for the participants of the games. It was a huge building with 2 floors. In early Byzantine times, a small agricultural population was established in Nemea, and part of Xenodochio was transformed into a Christian basilica. This settlement was apparently abandoned in the year 580 AD. Alongside the Xenodochio were located the baths, which are closed to the public, but can be seen from the outside. We believe they were fed by an aqueduct, but we were unable to find information about it. In the vicinity of the baths, we found several wells that we believe belong to later periods. Nevertheless, the building that attracts the most attention is the large temple dedicated to Zeus. This temple is the only one partially preserved. As far as we know, that is open to the public for its visit, since the other temples, such as the Parthenon and the Temple of Hephaestus in the Agora of Athens, can only be seen from the outside. The temple preserves 9 columns in situ, although 6 of these columns have been restored in modern times. Also, a large number of fallen columns are preserved. It is believed that the collapse of the columns was intentional and systematic with the adoption of Christianity. From the temple, part of the facade is preserved, although not in situ. Next to the temple are preserved the foundations of two small buildings, the circular one most likely for a tripod. The temple included a basement, which is visible from above. In front of the temple, there was a large altar where offerings were made to the gods. In the northwest, in an area closed to the public, was located the first stadium, from which some pieces are preserved in the Archaeological Museum. To the south of the first stadium, and also not open to the public, was located the sanctuary of Opheltes, who was a hero of the area. This sanctuary can only be seen from outside the archaeological site. Within the archaeological site, there is the Regional Archaeological Museum, which is medium-sized and quite interesting. For us, the most interesting finding displayed in the museum is the starting line of the first stadium, made of stone, which had cavities to support the feet, and included the number of each participant. Furthermore, it has artifacts from other small archaeological sites in the vicinity. One of these sites was the Mycenaean cemetery of Adonia, which consisted of a large number of chambers carved in the rock, which we visited in a video a few years ago. For those interested in visiting Nemea, we inform you that it is open every day of the week, except in winter when it closes on Tuesdays. Furthermore, the opening hours vary depending on the season, so we recommend that you check on the website. We have left the link in the description. The normal ticket costs €10, and there is a discounted ticket of €5 for retirees, students, and for all visitors during low season. Furthermore, as with the other archaeological sites in Greece, it is possible to visit it for free on the first and third Sunday of the month between November and March. You'll need about 2 hours if you want to visit the two archaeological sites and the museum. If you are in the area, we recommend that you visit Mycenae, center of the Mycenaean civilization, and the Mycenaean cemetery of Adonia, which it is extremely well preserved. Thanks for watching and see you in the next adventure.